Greetings, welcome back to Pink Oddbird. Today what I'm here with is my July Music Vault book and song, and this month I really had a great time actually working with this. I had to switch my ideas at the last minute because I was trying to find something and I couldn't find it, shocker. So maybe next month we'll get back to that, but this month I really enjoyed this project surprisingly a lot. And there's so much meaning to this song and just the book in general and my interpretation of what is going on. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Okay, so this month the name of the song is called Worrisome Heart by Melody Gardot, and I will link to the song in the description box below, so maybe you want to listen to it before the video gets started, or if you want to check it out afterwards. It's a beautiful song. She's sort of soulful and jazzy and bluesy, and I absolutely love the song. And basically what she's talking about is she's basically kind of sad or damaged, and she's hoping that somebody can love her the way that she is because she's got baggage and, you know, all of these things, you know, that happen to pretty much everyone in real life. And basically that's what her song is about. And so this is my interpretation of that. Since it's kind of like a jazz song, I wanted to have that sort of jazzy, glitzy vibe, but also sort of a dark and grungy vibe. So that's what you're seeing here. So let's go and take a look at it. I'll have all the dimensions and stuff in the description box below if you want to check that out as well. And let's go ahead and take a look at this. So it's an altered book cover. So it was originally a different book. And what I did to the cover here, as you can see, I did it all around the whole cover, but obviously the front part got covered up. So on the back, you can see here, I did a really nice like abstract painting, and it's with black and red and white, which are the main colors in this book. So if you can see that, that's what this cover looks like. And then I sealed it with a medium so that it doesn't have that chalky feel that acrylic paints have, and it's just like a smooth book, but you can still feel the texture in this book. Speaking of texture, before we go further into this, I do want to say that Melody Gardot was actually in an accident. She was on her bicycle and she unfortunately got into an accident, and it resulted in a blindness for her. So with this book, of course, I wanted it to be visually pleasing, but in lieu of that fact about this particular artist, who, when that happened to her, it actually brought the music within her even further out. So it was a kind of a gift also, in a sense, I guess. But in lieu of the visual aspect, I wanted to include a few other sensory elements such as touch, smell, and sound. So as we go through, I will point out different elements in the book for why I chose them and what sensory portion it is supposed to play into. And I don't know, I'm just really proud of this book, and I wanted it to be a book that maybe if someone was looking at this book and they weren't able to visually take this book in with the other senses, sound, touch, and smell, they would be able to enjoy this as well. So now let's go ahead and get into it. So again, okay, so we went over the cover, the beautiful painting on the back. The closure is really just here to just kind of keep it from opening up, but it kind of stays closed on its own. It's not like bursting at the seams, but it's just this really pretty red knit yarn stuff that I have. And this book was actually made in the same style as the fall book that I made not long ago. And in that book, I did this kind of mixed media sort of art book. So this is kind of based around the same thing. I'm sorry, I know I'm talking a lot in this video, but this is going to take it because there's a lot to cover. So I apologize in advance for that. So in that fall book, I had done a belly band on one of the pages with a green purse strap. Well, as I was going through my stash, I found this little hook, and this hook was actually the strap, the thing that held the strap onto the purse. And I was like, oh, well, since I'm revisiting this book style again, how perfect is it if I add that in? So I was like, what can I do with it? And since it was kind of shaped like this, I decided to make a tassel out of it as one of the sensory elements for touch. And there are several different fabrics and trims here. There's eyelash trim, there's wool here, as you can see. There's some of that knit fabric. It's stretchy, just like the cover closure. There's some trim in here from Junk That Treasures, and there's some Sorry Silk as well, and another little trim here. So I felt like this would be a really nice element to, you know, just kind of touch, because it's really soft, and there are so many different textures in this book, and I think it's really pleasing to all of your senses. So that is one of the tassels that I have included on this book. The secondary tassel, you can see I have just attached them with these little like brad thingies. The secondary tassel is meant to represent sound. So as you can hear, it clanks against the book, and you know, it clanks on its own because it's a bunch of beads. So let me take this off and show it to you. So this is to be part of the sound element. So this is what the charm looks like. And I'm just going to sit those off to the side. As you can see, they completely remove so that you have a flat surface when you want to open this book up. Pamphlet stitch, 2 signatures, and then at the bottom I just have this little gold heart that I added on, and I think that's really pretty. And I just popped that on top of some lace again because I wanted texture. So maybe the idea was you could feel in this book, and since the name of the song is called Worrisome Heart, I wanted you to be able to feel lots of hearts with your hands. Okay, oh, I haven't even talked about the cover. So basically all I did is just a bunch of different layering. As you can see, there's Sorry Silk, there's laces, there's some glass bead trim here, and I have another little red heart there that I found in my stash, and I wrote the word heart here, and I just stitched around it. I just wrote that out with a pen. And then of course I did a giant heart here with a bunch of different beads that match the color scheme. So again, another texture where if you're feeling this, you can feel that it's sort of like a heart, and you can probably also tell that they're buttons. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's get into it. So opening up here on the inside, I just have a big pocket. I really wish I could tell you guys how many different textures and stuff are in here. Like, it's really fulfilling in that aspect. So she's a piano player, so I have included, of course, the piano keys as one tag. Topped that with lace, and then of course I have added in some beautiful braille paper here, and I just made this kind of like a Hermelin tag, but I wanted to leave some bigger pieces of braille intact just for, you know, sensory purposes. And maybe, I don't know if anyone knows how to read braille, but that's awesome if you do. And then I have a little booklet here that I just made out of coffee stained paper. It's a little booklet, and then I stitched it down the center. So most of the pages in here are going to be that heavy watercolor paper that I like to use, and then when it's not that, it's a coarse fabric that I had in my stash, almost like a canvas. So here I have a piece of like a box, and then I did it out shaped like a heart. Obviously, as you can see, there's lots of mixed media. I used my acrylics and water them down to add some drippage. There's lots of so many different texture elements here. There are Tim Holtz clippings that I found that I added in. Will You Promise Never to Leave Me? I had some medical book pages, and so I added some of the heart pages in from that book. And then I have another little music note down here at the bottom. But this is what this page looks like. As you can see, there's a lot of mixed media happening on this page. So flipping over, on the other side here, we have another fabric and paper collage. So I'll just let you take a look at it. There's Sorry Silk, there's canvas, there's this heart that I stitched around in red. It's made out of like an embossed fabric, and Sorry Silk, lace, and then of course I've got some little drippages with the red there. Then here on this side I have a little book page that I've just folded up on the fabric. This is like that coarse canvas fabric that I'm telling you about, and here I've just added some trim. It's a book page that I folded up to make a pocket. There's some more of that embossed fabric. I don't know if the camera's picking that up, and some tulle. And then I just have a little garment pin here with a heart just hanging off to the side. Then here I just made a little trifold tag out of some more braille paper. I really wanted to keep some of these larger pieces intact, like I said. So on this side here, what I have is a pipe cleaner heart. It's made out of those pipe cleaners, and I had some black ones. And then I just wrapped it around with that same knitty, stretchy fabric that's holding the book closed, the one that I pointed out earlier. And then I've added some little pom-pom trims here. There are some laces layered in the background. But again, if your eyes were closed and you ran your hand over this, you would be able to tell that it was a heart. And then I have a poem here from my stash. So next we have another watercolor page. And on this page, as you can see, like kind of faintly, I've done a lot of finger painting with the acrylics. And I don't know if you can tell, but there's a heart finger painting here in the background, and then just layered on some other different papers. And then I do have little swatches, I guess, of the Braille paper that are also layered in here as well. And then some twine for texture. Same kind of idea on this page. And then here I have a large tag made out of watercolor paper. As you can see, I've added in some textures. There's some sequins trim here at the top. There's another one of those heart book pages. And then I have another pipe cleaner heart layered onto some black netting that I have. And then I did some of my doodling that I like to do. That one says troublesome. And then down here it says heart. And then they're plain on the back. So again, here, just some more collaging and layering. And then I did another little watercolor, or not watercolor. Well, I guess technically it's kind of watercolor because it's acrylic, but I finger painted a finger painted heart. The edges are distressed and torn, and I layered it. There's tons of black soot in this book. There's a little music note book paper clip, and then I just did some more layering and another piano tag because she plays the piano. So here on this page, I have layered in another poem from my book. And then I had some satin kind of ribbon that I just layered together to make it a wider piece. And then I put some batting in there to make it puffy, again, to add another texture where you can feel this and know that it's kind of a heart. And then just layered on some fabric, some coarse ribbons, things like that. So this is one of the lyrics from the song, and I just used a charcoal pencil to write that onto the Braille paper. So on this side, what I have is half of a pipe cleaner here. I just used that to make half of the heart. I used some architectures here that I got from Ms. Kim. So, and I painted over those just so that they had a little textural dimension in the background. And then here are they were pink beads that I had. It was a necklace. I gessoed over them and painted them. Now they're really pretty, like matte black. And then I layered in some more of that medical paper. And so it's got a heart. That's basically, again, if you're feeling over this, you'll be able to tell it's a heart. And then I have a black applique here. And then I use a Tim Holtz clipping that says, "You trouble me always, my lonely heart to be preserved." Oh, and some sequins trim here. And the sequins trim that I use there is the same one that's wrapped around the top of this tassel. So here's another watercolor page with finger painted hearts. It says baggage free there. And then I have the little heart page in the background and some Tim Holtz clippings. Actually, these two are Tim Holtz clippings. Hold on this heart of mine. And then I actually found a word on the actual book page and it said breathe. And so, or sorry, breath. And so I wrote a little, I drew a little square around that. So that's the end of the first signature. So on to the next side. Again, it's more of the same, different types of paper. I have a felt sort of velvety paper in the back, and this is like an upholstery heart. And then I drew the stitched lines on there to make it have, you know, make it look like it had another texture to it. Another little tiny heart down here. Some more of my doodling down here at the bottom, and then some music cross grain ribbon that I have. So here again, I just washed this page out with a light red, and then I did some depth around these hearts that I cut out by hand, and I didn't glue them down all the way so that they would also have their own natural shadows, but I also lined it out with some charcoal pencil and some distress ink, and then I did squares around the word comfort. So on the next page, to represent the smell element, I have some floral, some dried flower mixture here. And if you guys remember, a while back I did a book. I did 3 books, the 3 sisters. One was looking for psychic abilities, one was looking for love, and one was looking for fertility. So I had some leftover herbs from the love mixture that I had. So I thought that it was perfect that being in this song, she's talking about finding love. Also on the inside, I had a Tim Holtz clipping that said, fell in love with her at once. So all of this was like tying together really nicely with the song. So I have the love herbs in here. This is going to represent smell as well. Of course, they're dried, so you can't really smell them, but it's representational. And then just some Braille paper layered in the back. So again, to play into the senses, on this page I have some coffee stained paper that Miss Shana gave me, and she used heart doilies on these papers, and I was saving this for something special. I didn't know what, but now I know. So again, to represent the sound element, it's coffee stained paper, so of course it's going to be kind of crunchy. And then I just made it so that that flips down, and then you can see another heart that she has here. And then on this piece here, kind of folds out, and then it flips up to the top. So again, this is one of those fabric pages that I put in. And then here is a heart that I made out of wires. I just put it on a little piece of watercolor that I had. It was a scrap, but these wires are actually the wires that come out of wired ribbon, and I just used a medium to stick those down with. And so of course it's shaped into a heart. So if you're feeling this, it's going to feel like a heart. So we've got our sounds here with the coffee paper, and then to add another layer to that, I have made this paper a magnet closure. So you get the nice little snap there for another little sound element. So here's some more collaging that I did. That is some writing that was on the actual book page. So again, more collaging. So here is the tag that I have made as to represent the song title. I did some scribbling there. It says heart. I used this texture paper that I got from Gracie. As you can see, it's really nice and shiny and textured. And of course, the name of the song is Worrisome Heart. So that is what this whole page means, and it's plain on the back. So I just did more layering here. I have another little music note up there at the top. Again, let you see the layering. So on this page here, again, I wanted you to be able to feel this and sort of feel hearts. So my idea behind putting all these paper clips, these safety pins this way, was so that they would kind of be overlapped and sort of look like hearts on the page. And then I have this embossed fabric heart here, and then Tim Holtz clipping says longing for, and then I did the charcoal pencil with an arrow here, a corner of your heart, and I put that right at the corner of the heart there. So that's what this page is supposed to represent. What I have is a tag. I had actually used this paper to punch some hearts out of something that I was shipping out, and I was like, oh, why don't I just make a tag out of it? So I cut it into a tag shape. I used some trim here from Aozi, and I've layered in some lace. Miss Dolly, I almost used all this red lace that you sent. And then of course there are just some other elements that are layered on there, and it says you will find it. Also here, as you can see, it looks like it says art, but if you lift this up, it actually says heart, and then I just drew a little heart. The other side of that paper, and I squared out the word disappointing because maybe she's sad sometimes. Here's another clipping. It says reserved, and then this heart is basically just made out of different laces and trims, and then there's a pipe cleaner heart in the center, layered on some burlap. And then here we are at the back of the book. We have another one of those music note tags, another one of those little booklets. Obviously, it's not a big time like writing journal. It's more of an art piece, conversation piece, or just, you know, something. If you like to collect art, that's basically kind of what this is for. Another Braille tag, but you can write in it. Like in all these spaces here, you can totally write in those. And there's my stamp. So I think I covered everything. If I forgot anything, I will add it onto the screen. But that's it. Worrisome Heart. I hope that my vision for this book was able to come through clearly in this walkthrough that I've done with you guys, and I appreciate you bearing with me. I know this one I've done a little bit more talking, but I have cut down on a lot of talking in my other videos, so I feel like this makes, I get a pass this time. So I'm going to go ahead and go, and be sure to check the description box for all of the pertinent details. And yeah, July Music Vault, guys. Let me know what you guys think about it. Leave some comments in the comment section down below. Tell me what you think. Have you heard the song? Have you not? Do you like it? What do you think about this book and my interpretation of it? I don't know. Let's just talk about it. So that's going to wrap it up for me for now. Be sure to stay tuned because you never know what direction this autoflock of ours is heading into. And until next time, toodaloo.